Hello.
Hello.
It is another hot day.
Yeah, for you, our heat broke. We had 2 hot days. I think it got up to an actual temperature of 95, which, it's hot. But
Right
today
now it
was
is 100. It's hit triple digits, but
ugh, with your
hold on.
humidity. Yeah.
Well, hey Google, what's the heat index?
Right now in Central City, the heat index is 113.
113. So it's 100 degrees, heat index 113. Yeah,
Too
I haven't
hot.
even gone
Yeah.
outside and I'm
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't
sweating.
go out. I wouldn't go out until late.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the pond at night.
Yeah, what do you do? It's too hot.
Yeah.
It's
I
too
just
hot.
I'll look out the window and see the bloom of the day and then I'll go later on.
Yeah, when it's this hot, it's dangerous to spend any amount of time outdoors. I have to go out to take dog outside, but you know,
Mhm.
it's 79 degrees here and it's like about 43% humidity. So it's
Rico. It's like
pretty great.
neener. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty great here.
Mhm.
It's pretty great. I can't complain. It's very nice out. I made content. People
You
in chat,
did. You made a pond video.
watch my content. If a nice mod could drop a link for it, if you want to see my pond, I
Mhm.
took a 2-minute video of it. I have 3 different lotuses blooming today, which is pretty cool. So 2 are new varieties that I haven't had blooms from before.
Oh,
So
nice. I
yeah, I
feel
really
like
like
there was
this
a time
one.
where you said you were not going to make content, and now look at you.
Well, I didn't put any work into it. Let's put it. Well, I guess I put a lot of work into the pond, but
Yeah,
I
there's
didn't.
work involved.
Yeah, there's work involved, but there's no work into making of the content. That was just me
Not yet. Then
starting a
one day you'll open a
video.
video editing program and you'll be like, "Oh, this is fun."
I don't know. I don't find that stuff very fun.
It can get
No,
really
and I
tedious.
mostly post to Instagram because it is a lot easier to post to Instagram. But you can't do 2-minute videos on it. I don't think you can do 2-minute videos. Maybe I'll put it up there anyways. Whatever. So Rico says Kelly is content making content.
Nice.
Yeah. Foxanne is a mod in color only. I am a ceremonial mod when I'm a mod.
Well,
I'm
okay,
there to
she
smile and
tried.
wave.
Jenna was just faster, so she did try, and I like that can be recognized and appreciated.
Jenna is fast. I don't know if
Mhm.
she's Myrtle fast, but I don't know if Myrtle's here.
I think
So
Myrtle's working or something.
he has a life.
He does have a life.
He has a life. I wouldn't say we don't have a life.
Just a life more conducive to sitting on our ass in front of a computer.
At least for this hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jenna, do you think you're Zenny fast?
Hmm.
No. Zenny's pretty fast too. So well, anyways, good to see
Yeah.
everyone here. Gina says test comment to see if I'm a mod. I don't know if you're a mod.
She's a
I'm
mod.
not telling this. There you go. Gina she has good skills. She should be a mod. She makes good decisions. She knows things.
Yep. When I first started live streaming, I just kind of went mod happy and made a lot of
Yeah,
people mods.
yeah. I am, and I kind of undo a lot of good work other people do. I like to put people into timeout, and I
Yeah.
like to ban people by accident.
You pocket mod, or is it just like you're holding your phone in your hand and you're not realizing you're pressing something?
No, I pocket mod. The way
Uh,
iPhones are, maybe I should turn it so they turn off. I don't have that toggled. But like I'll stick my phone in my pocket and whoops, I just modded Kyle. Oh, Foxian says flower bot is above water, but not open yet. Maybe tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. And they open for like 3 days. So that means on your
mhm.
birthday, which happy early birthday because your birthday was not the 27th and it's not
Not
today.
today.
Even though I have wished you happy birthday on both of those occasions, I will get it right eventually. I mean, I'm trying.
You
Oh,
had me convinced her birthday was today, and so I was all ready to say happy birthday, but no,
I
we're gonna wait.
know. I'm like,
You
oh my
got
God.
enough premature happy birthdays, Foxy.
I know. Now you're not getting one tomorrow. You have to wait till your actual birthday for another happy birthday from me. You've had enough early ones. Didn't I pocket mod Mike during his focus on? I pocket modded someone, but I
You
don't
did.
know who. Was it Mike?
Yeah, you put him in timeout or something. I don't. It was something
Wait,
like that.
wasn't he on panel?
Yeah, he was. I think he had typed something though, and you just seized the opportunity to hide his ass.
I hadn't even chatted because I was just listening. I think I was making dinner or something. I don't know. I'm a terrible mod.
I'm not so great either. Like
Well,
if someone asks a mod to do something, I will make the attempt if I if my hands are available, but I usually lose the race anyway. But I will continue on just in case there's no other mods that are available.
it's true.
So I'm
Foxanne
definitely a good
points out
alternate.
that Funk gets a birthday every day. Well, I mean, he's Funk. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, we can't fight that. We can't fight that. Yeah. I have pocket modded many. Hello, Zenny. She is half lurking, finishing up school stuff. Is it school already? Are your kids back in homeschool?
Yeah, that is kind of early. But yeah, she was talking about teaching ELA or something the other day. I didn't even realize. Yeah, it's really early.
What is ELA?
English language arts.
Okay.
Her
Got it.
favorite subject.
I love English. I loved
She
English.
doesn't.
Oh
But yeah, I mean,
no.
I got a degree in English. I love
Yeah,
it
I
so
mean,
much.
I love reading books. So you like to write. You're a good writer.
I did not read most of the books I was assigned.
I'm shocked because most people major in English because they just really love reading.
I don't know why I majored in English, but
Oh, either. I mean,
here I
you're a
am.
good writer. You're a good writer.
Yeah, I mean
I mean, the
it
truth
worked.
is there are a lot of things you can do with an English degree. That's what I
Yeah.
would tell students. If you want to be an English degree, there are many things you can do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Some of the best rappers have English degrees. That might be true.
Is that I have no idea.
I
I mean,
think
it might be true. I have no idea. I'm not really familiar with the biography of many rappers, so
could be true.
I don't really know anything about any rapper who's like had any music come out in the past like 15 years.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't keep up anymore.
So
I only really listen to classical anymore.
Zen said we take roughly a week off a month. Just keep going. We have no real schedule. Besides the days Daddy is free, we take off.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, that's not a bad thing because the kids don't want to be outside right now anyways. It's too hot.
Yeah.
It's too hot. And then they have breaks during the year and you have a break during the year and then they get to spend time with dad. And then you get a break.
Well, the traditional public school schedule is terrible. Like
It is. I would agree
expecting
with
kids to go and pay attention for that many hours per day, 5 days a week for that many months in a row
that. It's a
with
lot.
very few breaks.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, and it's nice in the Midwest because like we get to be off during the nicest part of the year. But for like you, like this is not the nicest
Freaking
part
hot.
of the year. I mean, like March is a nice time for you.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep. Even April, May it starts to get a little warm. June is awful. July is apocalyptic, and
yeah,
then like
August,
September, October is finally when it's like
that's
not
when your heat
terrible.
breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
Oh,
like we're really nice right now. So
I'm wondering what my pond plants will do when it cools off. Like right now, they're kind of growing, not that great. They're
yeah,
really just really fried. I did
you
finally
know,
move the hosta to the shade.
Yeah, so that's good. So your water lily will probably grow year round. During the coldest parts of the year, it will slow down. If you have a frost, all the foliage will die back. So you might as well just cut it back. Like just pull it off because it's gonna die anyways.
What should
Um,
I do with the leaves that look like something has eaten them? Like there's
I just pull
holes
them
in some
off.
of them and the
Just rip
edges.
them off.
Like, yeah, I just wonder if they're worth keeping or
No,
just,
I just rip them off. I want them to put their energy into good pads.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, for me, I have to fully winterize my pond, and anyone in chat who lives in a colder climate, um, if you have a year-round pond, the water lilies I send are hardy anywhere zones 2 through 10. So even
good.
like extreme northern Minnesota, Canada, and Alaska are zone 2. Zone 10 takes you all the way down to like Miami.
God.
So they're hardy pretty much anywhere. Um, and they can stay out in the pond. Mine stay out in the pond. I just, before there's a frost, I cut them back.
Yeah.
Um, but
It would be nice if I could just
yeah,
leave everything out there, but
and they'll
I
still
need
keep
to,
blooming. They'll still keep blooming for you because
that would be
I mean,
nice.
even if you get a frost, it's much later than I do.
Yeah. Alaska
Yeah.
zone 2, Wisconsin zone 3A. That is strange. That's a big area before
So
you get to
wait,
3.
zone 3A, is it? Because like northern Minnesota is zone 3 and it's colder than Wisconsin, but maybe it is. But where you are, Foxanne, I think you are either 4B or 5A. Anyways, it's cold enough where you live. We are zone 6A, so a tiny bit warmer.
Yeah.
But, it's still like right around October 10th. The pond pretty much has to be dismantled. It's usually pretty cold by then. The water's cold. I'm still getting blooms though. Like things are still flowering. Maybe they've slowed down, but I'm still getting some. Okay, so you were so north and in a lower lying area. You were 3A. I didn't think there was any 3A in Wisconsin. Wow, that's cold. That's a cold pocket. Yeah, Zenny is zone 9A. Yeah, just a different climate. But Rico
Yeah,
is in the
or either
danger
8B or
zone. So
9A.
there
I'm
you
gonna look up the
go.
map. But what I need to do now is I need to find more pond plants. I've tried the ones that they got from the nursery, and then most of the ones that I got from KJE are doing fine. They
Yeah,
just
that's
when they
good.
arrived, it looked like it just was so freaking hot. I don't know why
Yeah,
I
I
make these
know.
bad decisions to order things in the blistering heat,
Yeah.
but most of them are okay. The bloody dock that I ordered, that died. The
Yeah.
golden sedge also died.
Yeah. I mean, and I have grown both of those before, and they do really well in ponds. And they can take heat, but like not like heat in the mail.
No, I mean,
No plants can take that. So Tommy is on the line of 7B and 8A, so quite a bit farther south than me. Yeah.
okay. So Keith wants to know, Keith Hanshaw says, alternate Theronechii Rosenervig, I don't know how you say it. Is it a hard one without CO2? It depends
So
on your
actually,
KH.
here is some of it without CO2 right here. And after 2 weeks, or not even 2 weeks without CO2, it's already looking ratty. I
Yeah,
have KH6. If you have a KH of, let's say, 1 or 0, maybe it will be just fine. If your water is harder than that, it's not going to look good. It will look ratty.
no.
It will not be colorful. It will
I
limp
tried
along.
alternate. I love alternate Thera because it's such a pretty stem plant that you don't have to
Mhm.
trim every day.
Yeah,
And
it's a slow grower.
right, even in CO2, it's a slow grower. But
Mhm.
like I tried to keep it without CO2. It just kind of
It
deteriorates over
doesn't do
time.
well. It just
And
doesn't do
then
well. Yeah, it
even
kind
in
of turns
CO2,
brown.
it kind of teeters on like
Yeah.
not doing the best. I have to really keep on top of it.
Yeah, the leaves get kind of transparent brown. It's not great without CO2. Now, if you have super soft water like Fishimon does, I mean, he can probably grow it, but I
Yeah.
don't. I have to use CO2. But if you have CO2, it's not hard to grow. I would say
No.
it's just an average plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can grow it. It's just never going to look good. It's never going
Hmm.
to look good.
No,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
you can get it looking okay, and then you compare it to like how it looks in CO2, and it's like, yeah,
yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
it's one of those because I mean, the thing is, like most of the plants that we grow in our tanks are not aquatic plants. Like
Nope.
they go through wet and dry seasons. They
Yeah.
are used to having an unlimited amount of CO2 at certain
Yeah. They
times of
want
year.
to grow above the water.
Hmm.
And so they will limp along until they can do that. Now, plants that look amazing and grow a lot of them below the water. So, for instance, if you look at footage of like the Pantanal, which is the largest wetland in the world, it's in like Brazil and Uruguay and Bolivia.
Hmm.
And the plants there are amazing. So Ludwigia pantanellensis is a species from there. It's a very pretty Ludwigia, one I can't grow because my cage is
Yeah.
too high. But there it grows really well. And that's because there are a lot of springs and the water is naturally very high in CO2. So it will have like 5 times the amount of CO2 that ordinary water does.
Yeah.
So it makes a real difference. It makes a real
Right.
difference.
And
And
even when you are when you are injecting CO2 in your tank, you're still not even giving most of your plants the amount of CO2 that they're used to, that they usually thrive on
oh
above
yeah,
the water.
because
Because
the concentration of CO2 above the water is so much higher than below the
yeah,
water. I mean, and that's why, if you try to grow, let's say like tiger lotus, okay, it's not really a lotus, it's really an nymphaea, which is a water lily.
hmm,
The pads, they get, I guess, what about that big, like 5 inches. It still like will be a tank buster in a 90-gallon. But if you put that in a pond and it starts sending pads to the surface, those pads will be that big and it will fill a 10-foot pond. It will fill it and it will be beautiful. It will have beautiful flowers. It will be beautiful.
hmm,
So, you know,
maybe I can do that with my red tiger lotus.
you can so for me, like the water, it can't take any cold. So, because I
Yeah.
grow a tropical lily right now, I have a viviparous one. That one is like a more pure tropical. It's
Hmm.
not viviparous. Those can take like a little cooler water, the viviparous ones, but like if it's below, let's say 70 degrees, they're kind of toast. The tropical ones, they're not happy. Whereas
Oh, I see.
the viviparous ones, I've been told, I have not confirmed this yet, they'll keep going and vigorously blooming until frost. But I mean, I'll see. I'll see. Yeah,
I might try that just to add more coverage and stuff in my
yeah,
pond. A
yeah,
lot of the lily pads, like from the lily that you sent me, like they grew, but then they just kept growing, and now they're all like around the edges, and there's nothing in the
yeah.
middle.
Yeah, I mean, and they do that because they want to spread, right?
Hmm.
They're like, they're trying to grow to fill a pond, and so that species is one visa, and in a like a
Okay.
real pond, a big pond, that one will spread like 6 feet. So that's
Mm.
that's what they do.
So if I
Um,
like trimmed off some of those leaves, would it like encourage it to grow more in the
I
center, or are they
mean,
just all going to kind of keep going off to the edges?
it's kind of like, I mean, they kind of just send up big pads. I would pull off any pads that look kind of
They're
chewed up or
damaged.
sunburned
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Leaves don't live forever. They have a
Right.
natural cycle. And I mean, if you have them in a big pond like Brian does, like Peplin does in Foxanne, okay, I don't expect you to be swimming out in your pond pulling them off. Like that's you need to do that. That's fine. But also you have a huge pond for them to spread out in. But
Right.
for our tub ponds, yeah, I would groom it up. I would groom it up. Yeah.
My parents have this. 800-gallon tub that they used back when my kids were little. They would like fill that up with water, let them swim in it. Now they don't really use it for anything other than to like
Yeah,
wash the
that's
dog.
so fun.
And
I'm
I'm like,
excited for
we
that.
could make that a pond. He's like, are you going to do maintenance? I'm like, well, the thing is,
Very
once
little
we get this
maintenance.
pond set up and
Yeah.
established, there's really not much that would need to be done anyway. So
Yeah,
sure.
there's no maintenance, and it might be fun for him to have something growing in the backyard that he didn't have to do a lot.
And we can put it anywhere from like infinite sun to full shade
Oh, that's
because
fantastic.
he has
And
a
we
lot
can
of property and a lot
put
of
a
open
couple of
space.
really nice water lilies in there. I could send you next year a lotus you could try.
Mm,
Yeah, you could have a real good time.
nice.
Yeah, it might be a nice thing to do for him. I mean, if I lived closer to my parents, I would set up a couple ponds for them because I think they would really enjoy it. You know, something that wasn't hard for them to take care of because they'll top it off.
Yeah. So Coro says they make extra long extending lily pad trimmers. Saw a short one from Atlantis Aqua Gardens.
Wow, I did not know that. I've never gone shopping for that. Well, there you go. You know what would be really nice, and I'm sure they do make them, would be something for putting fertilizer tabs into like big ponds so you don't have to go swimming.
Yeah, that would be
I mean,
nice.
for me, like, as long as I'm wearing a tank top, I'm not going to get wet putting in fertilizer tabs. And I fertilize mine every other week because I want to keep them blooming. So, yeah. Well, that's great. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. So Amisa wants to know any pond plants that can do hard shade, 125-gallon north side of the building, and get sun 1/4 of it May through September, otherwise full shade.
Amisa,
So
where
like
do
you can,
you live again? Like,
she lives in California.
okay, like northern or southern?
Uh Google her city because I have to send her plants, and so I've been monitoring
Yeah,
her
Google her
weather as well
city.
as mine. Um, I don't know if she wants me to disclose her actual city, so I'm just gonna look at a map.
Or Amisa, you can just tell us if you're in what part of
Yeah,
California.
it
Okay, it's in
is.
Zone
Yep,
9A, Northern Valley.
yep.
Okay. Okay, so it's more mild climate. Um, so I have tried to grow pond plants in hard shade, and they don't work quite as well. I mean, that's not to say they don't work. I'm in a very different grow zone than you. I'm zone 6A, so it gets cold here. Um, I think that you could do hostas. Those do really well. You can do begonias. Surprisingly, look really great, and those do flower,
Mm,
and they're really pretty. I started with like some cheap bedding begonias, but I think you could try some more interesting ones. So, for instance, I have a Rex begonia on. Well, I'm pointing, and you can't even see what I'm pointing
mhm.
to. So, see that red plants in my hydroponic wall? That's a Rex begonia. Begonias love
Cool.
deep shade, but there are some really, really pretty ones. Like I like the dragon wing begonias; those are really nice. Um, but I would try those. They've all seemed to pond really well. Other things, you can grow them, but they're never going to be quite as majestic. Oh, another thing that will look really good are caladiums.
Yep,
Caladiums
those are
love
nice.
They had love having wet feet. For you, they might grow year round, or at least until, I don't know if you get frost there, but probably not in your zone. So yeah,
I need to
caladiums
get
are
some
really
caladium.
beautiful.
I used to have a bunch of those because they grew so well, like just around the house. I need to
Yeah,
get
they
some
do,
bulb.
especially where you live, because they love having wet feet.
Yeah.
They hate living in dry climates. So like where Bex lives, like caladiums are not going to be as happy.
Mhm.
But they do well in a pond. They do not like full sun. You could try coleus. Might work. I've never tried it before. It doesn't mind wet feet and it likes shade. um so one thing that I think likes shade, so this is of my first year trying it, and I planted it in one pond, and it's gotten a lot of leaves, but it's never flowered. And then I put it in another pond, and it happens to be really shaded there because there's like some big cannas and my big lobelia cardinalis, and so it's really shading it. And I put just one little rogue stem there, and it has flowered. It's called water poppy. And
Water
it's
poppy, you
yellow
said?
flowers. Now it is invasive in a lot of the country.
Mm.
So where Steven lives, like you got to be careful. Where you live, you probably have to be careful. Where I live, I don't have to be careful. It may not be legal in California, just to let you know. Um,
Mm.
so, that's another one you could try, just because I suspect it likes a little more shade, but I haven't really grown it enough to know for sure. I just know that I have been a little disappointed in that plant. So Tommy says that coleus does great in a pond with shade and doesn't get a chance to dry out. So there you go. And I suspected it would do well because it does like wet feet, and it's a shade loving plant.
You want to know, is it caladiums that are poisonous to fish or elephant ears, or was
I
that
don't
some
know. I've
wives'
done
tale?
both of them and grown a million fish, so I think
Mm.
that's a wives' tale. And also, like, are they eating the plant? Like, it's not likely to leach anything into the water column. And lots of people grow elephant ears, so alocasias, colocasias. Those are very popular. Both Steven and I are growing alocasias, which are elephant ears. So yeah, and those are wet feet, like Tommy says, in a pond, not
Hmm.
submerged. They don't want to grow that way. Oh, another good plant. Does terrible in full sun. Loves having wet feet is polka dot plant, which is Hippoestes, Hypoestes, polka dot plant. It's
Huh.
Hippoestes. They sell it in garden centers. You can also buy it from houseplant stores, but it's in garden centers too because it's a bedding plant. It's pretty. It's got pretty leaves, like pink polka dotted and red polka dotted and white polka dotted. And it'll do really well for you. It loves having wet feet. So you have a few options, not as many. Water lilies, they just need at least a couple hours of sun. Just at
Yeah.
least a couple. They do really like it. Lotuses, they can take some shade, but not deep shade. So
If I were to get a caladium, would I plant that in the same kind of soil mix, or would I put that in the gravel with the pond tabs like the other stuff?
I think that with your heat, I would only put a caladium in pretty deep shade there, but I don't know. I'm not used to gardening in your climate. You could try it, and I would put it in gravel. I would
Okay.
put it in gravel. Yeah. I mean, you could do either one, but I'd probably put it in gravel. It's, I mean, it just gets so hot where you live, but
Hmm.
it's not 100% full sun. I mean, your pond is protected somewhat, and it would never dry out. So I think it's worth a shot. I mean, you wouldn't be spending a ton of money on it
No, they're cheap.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oinky has a question for us. I have a 20-gallon high infinity waterfall tank that I'm ready to put plants in. Wow. I do not know this. Is there a
Hmm.
resilient plant that you can think of that can handle high flow rate? Unfortunately, I can't turn it down. Well, as long as you get them rooted, most plants love a lot of flow. I mean, there's some aquascapers who use crazy amounts of flow.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
basically just no floaters that can't stand being splashed. So anything underwater would be pretty good. Probably like if where the water is hitting the surface, if you want to do like immersed Anubias, probably would like that a lot too.
yeah. I mean, as long as you get them anchored down well,
Hmm.
um, a healthy plant is going to do just fine. Java ferns are going to be just fine. Java ferns love flow.
Yeah.
Just get them anchored really well to the wood. I think you could do Java. What are my brain is so gone today.
Java
Not
moss.
Java, not Java moss. It's not even Java. Jungle
Uh,
Val. You can
Jungle
do
Val. Okay,
any
yeah.
Vallisneria, I think would well, not the fussier ones, right? But like
Hmm.
common Val
I want to know what this
out
thing is
there.
though. 20-gallon high
I
infinity
don't know.
waterfall
Let's
tank.
Google it because I too am. I am intrigued and wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
All right.
Powerwork says most of my stems like to grow with the flow of my power head. Yeah, plants really like flow, and they would prefer not to just have a sponge filter. Like they like some moving around.
Mhm.
But while we look that up, Zenny asks, speaking of polka dots, would Begonia maculata do well by or in a pond, or do they need to remain further out on the perimeter? Well, I have not tried that begonia in particular, but you could try it. You could try it planted. You don't want it to the crown too far wet. You would want it, the crown at water level. I think it might do okay. I mean, you never know. You just have to try things. Every year I try new plants to see if they pond well. So this year I'm trying like 4 new things that I've never ponded before, and some are more successful than others. So, I think it's worth a shot because I have had
Hmm.
good luck with other begonias. Not to say that everyone, so maybe the tuberous ones wouldn't like it, which is unfortunate because those are really pretty. But like I would try like an angel wing or a dragon wing begonia because those are super vigorous. They get big. I grow them in containers and they're very pretty.
I
So
also
when
want to try other cannas. Are cannas supposed to be like obscenely slow?
no,
Because yeah, mine the initial
no.
leaves melted back, and I've got one curled up leaf coming up from the
Oh my God, that's
substrate
nothing. So
submersed.
here's the
Yeah,
thing with
it's not.
cannas. Like 80% of them work well in a pond.
Mm,
And I have tried many just regular garden center cannas,
hmm.
and like 80% of them work. This year I got purpose like pond cannas. I bought them from Lily Ponds, which is a pond retailer, and they're the best cannas ever. I love them so much. And they're like 5 feet tall. Wow. Well, this is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's like a little moat surrounding the tank,
Oh,
and I
how
guess
fun.
maybe this is the filtration, like it's a little
The
sump.
cats would love that.
Yeah, they would.
Oh my
I
God,
would.
they would be drinking out of it nonstop.
I'm just looking for like potential faults with it, like splashing out of the side. But also, if you live in a dry climate, holy crap, good luck with this.
Yeah, you'd be topping off a lot, which
Yeah.
she does live in a dry climate every winter because we have to
Mm.
run so much heat in our houses up here. Our houses are dry.
Yeah, look at that little
So yeah,
filter
you'll be
media
topping
spot.
off. But it's pretty cool. So Foxanne points out that they also like at least 60% begonia or humidity. Yeah. They
Hmm.
they do like they do like humidity, which is great around a pond. I don't think that anyone has more humidity right now, except for maybe Steven than Zenny. I mean, it's so humid.
Yeah, me and Zen's weather
I know.
usually are about 2 days behind each other.
Yeah,
So
pretty
whatever she's
much.
got, I'm gonna get later or vice versa.
It's so humid. So, but Foxhand says to throw it into Lika and have the roots only in water's end. Mist her once a day and give her a glorious name. That last tip is so important. I think that once it's established, you won't need to mist it because it is like literally 98% humidity there. It is, and if it's outside, if you missed it, it might sun scald.
Mhm.
But if it's indoors, you're gonna have to mist it. I would totally agree with you on that, Foxanne. But outdoors, it's so humid there.
I had a chameleon plant that was actually growing really well. And then I woke up and went outside one day, and something had just eaten all the leaves off of it. It was just
That
stalks.
gosh, I hate when that happened to one of my lotuses this year. It had a bud on it and had a couple leaves, and something nibbled them off. I'm like, what the hell?
I can't even imagine what it would be around here.
I don't know. I mean, in my case, I don't know if it was a deer
It
or a
couldn't have been a
raccoon.
deer. Like a deer could not get, they would have to like jump 8 feet and then I don't know. I
I
mean, I guess it's possible, but
I have seen deer running in downtown Fort Wayne at 5 p.m. And Fort Wayne is like it's a medium to small city. Like it's 150,000 people or something. Like it has a downtown. Just a deer running in broad daylight down the street. So yeah.
maybe.
There are deer everywhere here, but I don't know about where you live.
Maybe
So,
frogs. Like I do have
I don't
tadpoles,
know.
and
I don't think they would eat a plant. I think they're pretty carnivorous.
yeah, I don't
But
know.
Winky, that's cool. That's a cool tank. A lot of
Yeah, it
fun.
is.
I mean, my cats would love it, but
Oh,
that's
and
really
she
cool.
said if anyone's looking to get the kit, pick it up now because it's discontinued both the 10 and the
Okay.
20.
Yeah, that's cool. You can get a sale. That's really cool. Yeah. I like to see new things. So Zenny says my houseplants either have to adapt or die. The options are outside or the cat will shred them. Yeah.
Kelly's got that same problem.
Yeah, I before I got Fat Kitty, I had like 40 houseplants and he destroyed them all. He destroyed them all.
Ugh.
He is a murderer. So I have a bouquet of flowers on my table right now because I have a lot of flowers I'm growing outside, and I've been, thinking like, yeah, it'll be nice to cut myself a bouquet of flowers every week. And he knocked them over just because he likes to roll on the table because it's so fun to roll on a clean table. Whereas if I just piled a bunch of shit on my table, I guess he wouldn't do that. But thought I would clean off my table. Yeah,
Well, he was just helping you clean off the rest of it.
I guess. Yeah.
Just get that base off of there.
Just he hates plants. He wants them all to die. Just will not suffer them to live.
Also, is it weird that all the irises I have not bloomed? They just keep their
No,
same like 3 leaves.
it's not their time.
Okay.
Yeah, so for us, irises bloom in May, depending on the particular iris.
So it might be next year. Like,
For you, it will be earlier, and they don't spend a lot of time blooming. It's a short
okay.
bloom season, but it's very beautiful. And then the rest of the
Okay.
year, you enjoy them for their foliage.
Okay. Yeah.
For
Not
us,
even a whole lot of
iris,
foliage on them yet, but I'll just
yeah,
leave them there, let them be.
yeah, iris season lasts for a couple weeks. I mean, there's different species of iris, right? But the blooms don't last forever. But they are
Do
very,
they?
very beautiful.
Should they be in the gravel with pond tabs, like in the little pockets on the side, or will they do better in substrate? I have one in each right now,
I
actually.
mean, I don't know. You could try them both ways. I know that they are really good filters, and so people like to grow them in gravel for that because they do pull a lot of junk out of the water column. I've heard they're quite vigorous, so gravel is probably fine.
Okay.
And you can try giving them pond tabs, but it's going to leach into the water column pretty quick, but then they'll just pull it right back out. So,
Yeah. Well, that's what I have pond tabs in each of those little pockets, and I don't even know how often to change them out for the stuff I've got in there.
I mean,
Just
I do fertilize my pockets, like, I don't know, once a month,
okay.
and it'll just dissolve into the water column. So be it.
Yeah.
And they'll just take it back up. Yeah. So Oinky says 2 advantages of this kit. The evaporation level is crazy and you can't adjust the flow rate. In the instructions, it is advised if you are going to be leaving it for a while to unplug it.
You unplug the filter
Yeah, that's
to
crazy.
leave for a while. I don't know.
Not the
It's a
best.
cool decorative centerpiece, though, if you can keep up with the top offs. I think it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and Zenny says if you need to, you could always put some sponge or something to diffuse the water outlet strength and the intake. You can put a sponge over it, which I like to put sponges over every intake.
Yeah.
That is a way to go. That would probably help. You could also, in that outside tray, put some Lika or decorative gravel, and you could plant in it, like you said, or it would at least slow down the evaporation rate. You could put some pretty gravel if you wanted. That might look really nice, or some little pebbles. Like I have some really pretty green gravel that I bought off of Amazon. I really like it. I bought
Green
it for
gravel, huh?
aquarium making. Yeah, it's
Oh.
like it's I mean the stone must be serpentine, which is a
Okay. It's
natural
not out when you say green gravel, I'm thinking
no, not
that
fake.
literally
It's
the gravel that gets painted different colors from
no,
Petco.
it's natural, but it's
Okay.
really pretty, and it was a little more expensive, but it does look good in terrariums. That's why I bought it.
Nice.
But you could also buy like those little glass beads. You could try that, you know, because it would be pretty. But
Oh yeah.
also, Lika is a good substrate for plants, and it's cheap, and it works. So yeah. But Corework says, what do y'all think the best plant to grow in Lika indoors is, like in a HOB or air-driven filter? Pothos is a fan favorite. Lucky Bamboo and Peace Lily come in kits frequently. So I'm doing a ton of this. I have plants growing here, and they're all in Lika. Ones I really like, staghorn ferns and blue star ferns. I really love Monstera. I love caladiums. Begonias are cool. I mean, if it can take wet feet, like a peace lily does, it will do well. Next time I go to Trader Joe's, they always have anthurium, which has like these lipstick red flowers, and those can take wet feet. I'm going to get one of those and put it in. But yeah, I mean, there are lots of things, and you just got to try them and see what works. But if it's a house plant that can take wet feet, give it a shot. Oh, polka dot plant works well. Hippoestes, it works too well. It's out of control. Out of
Yeah.
control. Like
You can do. Brookley had like sweet potato growing in her. That took like all the night. She had 0 nitrates in there.
Oh, and that's the other thing. You really have to fertilize more. I fertilize so much with that hydroponic wall and with my so I use the Apothecary baskets, like not the clips. I think those are worthless, but the baskets that hang on the back. I really like those, and I use just Lika with them, which is very inexpensive. But yeah, you can try lots of things. Zenny says Lucky Bamboo she likes, but it really only lasts about 2 years before they give up.
Huh.
They aren't meant to be without some substrate, which, by the way, it's not really a bamboo, it's a Dracaena. Yeah. And
what? Really?
I've done this before. Yeah, they're not bamboos, they're Dracaenas.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. Coreworks is time to hit the discount sad plant section of Lowe's.
There you go.
You can find all kinds of bargains there. And, you know, obviously don't use a succulent, but if it says it likes kind of more moist growing conditions, give it a shot. Give it a shot. I mean, there are things I've been wrong about that haven't done well. But
so right now, all I've got growing out of tanks and filters is pothos, monstera, and I think it's like a ribbon plant. It's just the one stalk of it, but it's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even think pothos is the most exciting thing to do. I think the Monstera adansonii, the Swiss cheese vine, is cooler.
Yeah, that one's doing pretty good.
Yeah, that one does really well.
I started with pothos, like everybody does, and
yeah, I mean, because it's cheap and everybody has it, and it's pretty bulletproof. But there's other things.
Here's the thing, though. People act like pothos is like this super nutrient sucker. I have not found that to be the case. I don't think
there are other things that suck out a lot more. But just
like
really in general,
water Sprite was a nutrient sucker. That's what I think of. Like if you're trying to really get nutrients out of the water, get some water Sprite.
I've never really tried to get nutrients out of the water. I'm really trying to like put more in always. I know that we've been having this discussion on the Discord with Mitch, Scruffy City Aquatics. He just put CO2 in a tank, which we're super happy for him. But he's like, I don't know, my nitrates are only 10. Should I increase it gradually? I'm like, just crank it up. Just like add more. Like your plants need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give your plants what they need. So, I mean, and that kind of brings us to like, we haven't really addressed our topic yet, like how to grow healthy, like the best plants. And I will argue anyone out there that I guess the best plants are grown not in an aquarium, they're grown out in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's step one. But if you must grow them in an aquarium, the healthiest plants are grown with CO2. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
That's it. Because plants want CO2. It's a limiting reagent for them. It's not limiting when it's in the atmosphere. And
like we were saying, it's still limited even when you inject it because you have to worry about the safety of the fish, and also there's like a solubility limit on water.
Solubility. I mean, if your KH is very, very low, you have more bioavailable. CO2, and so you can get away with a lot. But if you
Yeah.
inject CO2 into that water, it will be even better. And so
Mhm.
you may think you're growing plants well, but you haven't tried it yet. Like you don't know how good they could be.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
that's just how that is. And when you see the difference between a Java fern grown with and without it, it's it's
I used to hate Java fern until I
yeah, it
started
looks
injecting
ratty.
CO2, and
It
now
looks
it's like,
completely different.
yeah,
It's
it looks so
There's a
much better.
reason like that when you grow without CO2, yeah, it'll grow, but it's ratty. But
Yeah.
when you grow it with CO2, it looks good, and that's why every aquascaper uses it. So then he says,
Yeah.
I bet high growth sunset both.
A lot of people have requested that on the plant forum again. So I've put that back in the plant farm for y'all just so I can just make it explode and send a
It is the
whole
most
bunch of it out.
that and like Hygrophila corymbosa, like cherry leaf or whatever.
I have
That is
Augustifolia, and
insane.
I love the compacta though. Like it doesn't.
Compacta yeah, that's a nice plant. It's a
Mhm.
slow growing stem. That's a well behaved plant, but yeah, it's because that's a mutant, right? That has the short internodes. Yeah,
See,
but regular corymbosa, if you have CO2, is too much. It's
yeah,
too much. I mean,
I
until we
don't
had
think.
steroids and blood doping, we didn't know the limits of human body either.
Right, but
But
this I
here's
don't
the
think this is a
thing.
good analogy for
It's not a good
CO2 because
analogy.
it's like carbon is the building block of life. So you have to have it. Even when you don't inject
Right,
it, the plants in your water, they have to
right.
have CO2. They're just getting so
And your
little of it.
aquarium is not a natural system. I don't care
Yeah.
how natural you think it is and that you do chants around the moon around it or whatever. Like it's still not. It's a closed system
Mhm.
and it's an artificial one. And if you look in nature at plants that are growing under the water that are doing really, really well, a lot of them are by springs, which are naturally very high in
Yeah.
dissolved CO2. So that's why they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's different from like
right.
the analogy like you're drugging your plants, like, well, you're nourishing your plants.
No, I mean, the difference to it would be this is let's say you compared like the health and performance of me versus Steven. If like I got to eat 3 normal meals a day and Steven only got to eat like 4 crackers a day. Well, of
Yeah, that
course
wouldn't
I'm
go
going to be able
well.
to run further. Of
Yeah, I
course I'm
wouldn't be
going to
able to
be more
communicate on
right.
4
I mean,
crackers.
because like, yeah, he wouldn't die, but he'd only be eating 4 crackers a day.
So what kind of tests are we talking about with, like, has tests actually been done on deep substrate with soil bottom tanks and the amount of CO2? Or
Yeah,
are
I
these
mean,
only
here's what you can do every day is you can take your water out of the tap and you can take the pH of it
Mhm,
and the KH of it, and then you can take the pH and KH of your water in the middle of the day.
of your tank
And
water,
if your pH is dropping, it's because there's dissolved CO2 in there,
right? And
but it's not.
so, like, there is the theory that, the anoxic stuff
Yeah,
in your, substrate is converting some amount to CO2,
yeah.
which I guess could be useful if you have really, really, really low KH, more of it'll be bioavailable. But it
Right.
doesn't matter the substrate whenever you're,
No,
injecting CO2 into
doesn't
like, I
matter.
have CO2 injected
Right.
shallow gravel and also, like,
Yeah.
super deep, like 6 inches deep
Yeah.
sand
And
and
I have
topsoil.
never seen anyone with a soil tank and a deep sand bed who can grow Java ferns that look like they have CO2.
Nah,
That's just the way it
yeah,
is. And you may think that, but you haven't tried it both ways.
right. You gotta do the
And until you
comparison.
try it both ways, and it's not even really a controversy, Renee. It's
Mhm.
just it's just that you haven't tried it,
Yeah, it's
you
just a
know?
misunderstanding of the role of
Right,
CO2. People hear that, "Oh, you
right.
can kill your fish with it," and so they automatically think that it's just something, like excessive, abusive, whatever. Like, you don't
Right.
need it, but
Well, you
once you
can
have
kill
it, you
your fish with
understand.
anything. You can kill your fish with fish food.
Yeah.
If I'm going to take my container of flakes and dump the whole thing in there, well, yeah, it's going to kill my fish. So should I stop feeding my fish? I mean,
No.
it's all about dosage.
Thank you, Oinky, for the 18-month milestone. Just wanted to say thank you always for everything. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. And Tommy, you don't need the electronic CO2 meter. Like, if you're going to spend money on that, like, spend money on something that's going to work. Spend money
Yeah,
on
wouldn't
CO2.
the
Like,
CO2
stop
meter
wasting your
just do
money.
the same thing? Wouldn't it just
Well, just
measure?
use your pH test. Use your
Right.
API kit and test degassed water out of the tap. So take a jar full of water and leave it out for like 2 or 3 days and let it completely off gas. You can bubble, or just, let it come to equilibrium. Okay? Do a
Yeah.
pH test on it and a KH test on it. Then take a test in the morning of your aquarium, and then take a test after the lights have been on for a couple hours. And if you see that the KH is the same, which it should be, it shouldn't change because that's buffer, right? Your KH shouldn't be going anywhere unless there's a problem with your tank. But if the pH is going down by like more than a point, let's say about, depending on your KH, that would mean there's sufficient dissolved CO2 in there. But if you're not seeing it budge, then you don't have CO2 in there, no matter what you think, or you think, it's just not. So what would cause well water to change pH to 8.4 out of 24 hours of off gassing? So if the CO2 is leaving the water, it's going to go up in pH because dissolved CO2 makes water more acidic. So that's what's going to happen. And that's why for your baseline, you want to let it off gas. So for like a couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. Then Michael said my tap does the opposite. Yeah. Usually the opposite happens.
Yeah.
It
So
just
I know,
depends on how
Tommy,
everybody's water is very different.
that you say you can't afford to run CO2, and that's fine. We all have budgets. We all have things that we prioritize. But when you're talking about like wanting to buy a CO2 meter, like why
Right.
are you wasting your money on that when you could be saving it toward CO2? So don't give me that excuse that like you can't afford CO2 when you're talking about spending on something else. Now, if you don't want CO2, that's fine. There are things I don't want to do either. There's lots of things I don't want to do.
So basically, I mean, the CO2 is to do it cheaply enough, it's $200 to $250. Once
Right.
you spend that money, then you are spending $5 to $20 every 6 months or however long
Right.
to run it.
Yeah,
So
and you could
that
turn
upfront initial cost can be
yeah,
daunting, but
you could
it's
sell stem after stem after stem after stem to pay for it. But
oh
we
yeah.
all have limited budgets and limited times on this earth, right? None of us, even if we are Bill Gates, right? There's only so many tanks you can take care of, unless you're going to have a staff do it for you, But like we're all limited. Now, if you don't want to do CO2, that's fine. Like there are things I don't want to do either. Like I know that RO water would be better. Like I would get better growth with our RO water. I know it. I
Yeah,
don't
but I'm
argue it.
not going
I
through that
don't
effort.
deny it, but it doesn't suit my life. I don't want to do it. But I'm not going to like argue with someone that it's not better. Right?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So J Rock says, so you're out of Easy Green. You have no aquarium fertilizer on hand. What do you do?
I would just let it ride until you could get more. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, like 3 days to get Easy
Yeah, I
Green
mean,
in the
it'll be
mail?
okay. It'll be okay. Like your tank is not gonna like implode.
Yeah.
Because Steven and I both forget to fertilize. Like we're human.
I
It's
was out of
okay.
Easy Green for a while. I just got like 4 bottles of it in the mail today.
Oh, that's good. I mean, like things will get ratty after eventually. Like it'll happen. Like when I go on vacation, I don't have the woman who feeds my fish. I don't have her fertilized just because like I don't want to give her one more thing. She's
Mhm.
already taking care of my pets and watering my plants. And I tell her she doesn't even have to feed my fish, but she likes to.
Nice.
So, I don't want her to, I just don't want her to have to do anything else. And they're fine. They're fine. So just let it ride. Just
Mhm.
let it ride. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I get that, Tommy, for sure. I hope your plant business like really takes off though, because if you can get enough like profit put aside that like isn't
Yeah.
doesn't
It's a
need to go
great
directly
thing
to
to invest.
living expenses and all that,
Yeah.
like if you can get that CO2 in there at some point,
Hmm.
then you can like triple or more
Exactly.
your
And
plant
it
growth.
will pay for itself. And I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just
I
hard to get that initial
I
investment in there.
started doing CO2 when I made 20 grand a year as a grad student. And I made 20 grand a year for 8 years. And Myrtle does it as a college student. And he started it as a high schooler. Actually, maybe he started in junior high. I
He
mean,
was he no, yeah, he was like 12 or even younger.
but
I
I
don't
don't know
know.
when he started with CO2 exactly.
Yeah, I don't know
But
either.
the point is like you invest in one piece at a time, you save
There he
up.
is.
Like, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Like, I get that. But, and if you don't have the budget for it, that's also fine. But, you know, eh, all of us are constricted in some way, whether it's time or
Myrtle,
money or both. Oh,
correction, I
correction,
was
when I was
7.
7. Wow.
Okay, so he was like 12, 11,
Okay.
12 when he
12 when you
started.
started doing CO2.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
assuming you saved your birthday money, did odd jobs, your allowance. I mean, Myrtle doesn't come from money. Like Myrtle, are you secretly a billionaire? You haven't told
He
us.
will be. He just needs
He
to
will be, but I don't
graduate.
think I don't think he is yet. I mean, when AI Myrtle takes over the world.
So I have not done
Yeah,
RODI, but in terms of if you're trying to get plant growth, then better is CO2.
yeah.
Is it cheap? I mean, how okay, an RODI unit you can get one for $200 or less.
You wanna I mean,
However much
ROVI
water it
units are better than they used to be, and it also depends on how hard your water is, because if you have
right.
super hard water, you're gonna be going through the cartridges more
That's
rapidly.
true.
A good person to ask this question to would be Mike, All Things Fish,
Yeah,
which
because his
is a
TDS is like 500 out of the tap.
right, and also, like, he can tell you, like, which is better to spend money on, CO2 or RODI. I
Mhm.
suspect he would still say CO2, though I will say you can also do salt water if you have RODI. So I
True.
guess it would give you that opportunity. And people who have low KH are blessed. You can grow a lot of things.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. That's right. I am hashtag not cursed. Like when I lived in Iowa, God, it was
Yeah,
tough times. But
it's just a little extra or work on us. I just, in terms of like the effort expended, I feel like RODI would be more effort just because you have to
yeah,
store the water in the
yeah.
reservoir and you have to make space for it. Versus, I just use the Python right out of the
Yeah,
tap. I
I
don't do
think
the aging water.
RODI is something that you do when you've already started down the path of a little more high tech, unless you are a saltwater person also, you know, and then you'd be like, well, I already make all this RODI. Like Gina says, saltwater,
Yeah,
saltwater. Yes, Gina.
Gina was busy, and then we said salt water.
I know. She woke up. And in which case you'd be like, well, I already have it. So, but that's a good question for Mike, all things fish, I would say. And
Yeah.
Horworks, how hard is your water? I like someone said TDS 500 club. Who was
Hashtag TDS 500 plus.
that? Christ, that's tough. That's tough life. Because I thought that the EPA said that if your water was over 500 TDS, it's no longer potable or something. Was it Rico who said that? I want to say
I've heard that before.
yes,
Like
last
they,
week when we had
mhm.
Rico on. He's very hard water out of the well. Yeah, and Beck says, yep, I think we all have our priorities, and sticking to said priorities is a personal decision. Where and how we decide to spend
Yeah.
our money is completely our own reason for our own choice reasons. Absolutely.
Well said.
And I don't care how rich you are. We all only have 24 hours in a day, and money is not finite unless you
Mhm.
are Bill Gates, right? And in which case, your time is still finite. Like, we're all resource limited in some way. Yeah. And so Tommy asks, so really $5 a month to
No,
refill
not
that
even $5 a
CO2?
month. It's
We
more
don't go
like,
through CO2 that much.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I have a 5-pound CO2 canister on a 40-gallon tank that I'm injecting the ever living shit out of with
Yeah.
CO2, and like that's still
Right.
$5 to fill that every, I don't know,
And
4 to 5
one
months.
one regulator can drive 4, maybe 5 tanks. Like, I know that some people stick like a lot of manifolds on them, but comfortably 4.
Yeah. I'm comfortably doing 3 on the regulator of which we
Right.
do not speak.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't like, so my little tank right here, which is 16 gallons, and I run average CO2. It is a 5-pound tank. I've had it on since September. I'm driving 2 tanks here with a 10-pound, and it lasts months. It lasts months, and it costs,
Mhm.
I don't know, I think it cost me $17 to fill that up. It's not much money. It's not much at all. It's a negligible expense. I spend way more money on fish food than I do on gas refills. Oh my God, orchids and endlers, TDS of 800. I
I
would
can't
not drink that water. I would not drink it.
I would start to test and just see what that TDS is. Like, is it
Well, I
just
mean,
minerals?
yeah, at
Like,
that point, like, is there
oof.
lead in it?
Ugh.
Like, I don't know. I I don't think I would drink that. I would
Yeah,
not
I
drink
would do
that. I
all the
wouldn't trust
tests, and then
it.
any TDS that I could not account for in my test, I would be very, very, very wary of that water.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that even though this water is only kind of mediocre for growing plants because all of its CDS is from carbonate, it's still good water. Like,
Yeah. I mean, and my TDS is about 120 out of the tap, and my KH and GH are about 6. So I don't have to amend the water at all. It's really reasonable water. I cannot
mhm,
complain. I've had way worse,
yeah,
but it's, yeah. So really it's upfront cost for CO2 equipment investment that makes all the difference. Absolutely.
and
I
yeah, you can
You only
save
need one
money.
regulator. You only need one regulator. And one
Yeah,
regulator can drive more than one test. You need one diffuser or something to diffuse the CO2 per tank. That's not
right.
expensive. Unless you drop it and break it if it's a glass one, but they're
Oh
cheap.
God.
That's why I
Yeah,
get metal ones.
I've snapped them, and yeah,
Yeah,
and then I've had the little diffuser pop off of it and never really fix it.
yeah. The cylinder
But
is good for years.
you can save money
Yeah,
by just going straight into the full blown CO2 and not try like I people have done like the DIY, and some
I've
people are
done
fine
that.
with that for a while, but
Yeah,
then
with
they
the yeast, you'll
eventually,
spend it doesn't take long to spend more money on yeast and sugar
yeah.
and bottles, because also the bottles don't last forever, so you have to
And
keep
you still need a
replacing
good
them.
regulator for that system anyway, so that's already an
Oh, I did it
expense.
without a regulator because it wasn't a thing back then.
Mm,
I mean, it's a thing you can do. It's never as good. It's never as steady. It's
yeah.
always messy, and there's always oh yeah.
Yeah, I
I would
was
rather
growing
do no
plants for a
CO2 than
couple of years before I went CO2, Tommy. Like,
yeah,
it took me a while to be convinced that it
right.
was worth it because I would hear things like, "But it makes your pH fluctuate," and I thought,
Right.
"Ooh, pH fluctuations, that's
Yeah.
bad." And like now, in reality, it's not.
I mean, if you're serious about growing plants, it's a thing to save up for, because it
Yeah,
is a lot of it is one time cost. In fact, for me to run CO2 now, I think I probably spend maybe $30 a year, $40 a year on all my tanks for CO2.
Mhm.
Maybe. And I
Thank you,
spend
Mark.
way more on fish food than that. Way more.
Oh yeah, God, with 20
I
tanks.
spend way more on buying plants. I spend way more on sparkling water than I do on CO2.
I mean,
You
I spend
know?
way more money on Easy Green, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I spend more money
Like,
in. But if you want to save money, dry ferts are a great way to go. You can buy them from Nylac G, or you can buy them from GLA Greenleaf Aquariums. And then go to 2 Hour Aquarist and look up the calculator for EI dosing. And you just need a set of measuring spoons, the kind you'd use for cooking, and you can dose dry ferts right in your tank. I've done it before. It works. The only reason I don't do it now is just because I'm lazy and
yeah, I I did
I
that
just
for
want
a
to pop
while,
something in,
and I'm
and I
just
don't
done.
want to do it. But if I had a lot of tanks and my budget were limited, I would do that, and it works, and it saves so much money. So much money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Mark, for gifting 5 memberships, and now we
Thank
have
you, Mark.
Coro in Amisa,
Yeah.
and New Local Austin, and Silver Creek, Keith Hanshaw are
Yeah.
members.
And Tommy says, I have a massive plants, definitely serious about it. Honestly, wanting to become my own warehouse. I have the space. If really that's what you want to do, I suggest researching how to set up a system of CO2 into every tank with manifolds and spend the money on a good regulator, not the cheapest regulator in the world. Get a good one, and then it's buildable and it's a one time. You know how they always say invest in good tools? Like if you're a farmer, you don't want to buy like a Walmart shovel, right? Like you want to buy a good shovel, one
But,
that will worth it.
if he had just plant systems without any fish, he could get a shitty
Oh
regulator and
yeah,
did an
then
end to tank dump, and it
yeah,
wouldn't be the
it
end of the
wouldn't
world.
matter. But then you couldn't have fish in them, and that would be sad.
Mhm.
It would be sad. Yeah, and it's
You could have
but
Corys in them, they would just pass out.
I don't know. I would feel bad.
Yeah, me too.
God. And if you had shrimp in there, June says exactly, Kelly. Tell me what to buy.
It's what she
Yeah,
likes to
I
do.
love telling people what to buy. And if you want me to tell you what to buy, we can have a private shopping session and you will be shocked at how much money you spend because I love making people spend money.
Let's see. Oh, crap, I didn't realize what time it is. Are we streaming over,
Yeah.
Fantastic or
Is
no?
Austin going?
No, I
I
don't see that he is.
Okay.
No, he's got something scheduled for, later tonight. Okay.
Okay. Austin After Dark. Make sure you catch
Nice.
him. He's a great
10:30
guy.
PM. Cool.
So Tommy says, yeah, same thing with investing time into people. The more you invest into something, the more you get out of something. Same with people. Everybody should be investing in everybody. Absolutely. The
Mhm.
most important thing that you can do with every business is building good relationships. I agree.
Yep.
So yeah, and investing in good equipment. It's hard to make that investment, but when you do buy things, it's good to buy the best ones you can because you don't want them to break. So, you're a farmer, not to buy a Walmart shovel. You don't want to do that. 'Cause it'll just break.
I
Get
bought a Walmart hammer for $4 to break,
it.
mountain stone with, and the head of the hammer flew off and nearly hit me in the face.
That's terrible.
So,
Wow. A $4 hammer.
yeah, let's see. We missed a question from Amisa. Says Jenna, thank you for keeping us,
Thanks for
on.
keeping us honest, Jenna. We
Here we
appreciate
go.
it.
If I dive into CO2, how many tanks can you run off of one, say, 30-pound cylinder?
Like
Well,
I don't know, like a lot. You can run as many tanks as you want off of a 2-pound cylinder. You'll just be refilling it all the time.
yeah.
30
So just I
Yeah.
can get I don't know. I need to log when I have to get CO2 refilled so
I
I know
know, I
exactly
should
how
do that
long,
too.
because I have a 20-pound on a 90-gallon, and I mean that lasts me quite a long time. I have a 5-pound on a 7-gallon, a 10-gallon, and like a 2.5-gallon bowl, and that one lasts a like a really long time.
Yeah, and I
So
have 10 pounds and I have 5 pounds. So, while I would love to continue this discussion, I'm going to have to go out for just 2 minutes. Stephen, entertain everyone. Dog has to go outside. She's telling me.
all right.
So, uno momento, por favor.
Okie dokie. Hey, dog. Let's see. Eakins. So y'all gonna keep going? Yeah, unless you want to stream. Let's see. Clam shovel broken on the first dig. Like literally the first shovel full of sand, it snapped. Like it makes you wonder, like, what do they make those shovels for? Like for decorative use only. Because yeah, a hammer should not have broken just trying to hit a rock with it. I didn't hit it that hard. June asked a question. How are we missing all these? Where? Scroll in. Oh, fun. I'm in. Tell me what to buy. Oh, here we go. What system or brand do you recommend for CO2? Okay, quick while Kelly's not here. You don't have to get the GLA. You can get you can get the CO2 art or the co-op. And if you want to take a risk, which has paid off for me, I haven't had any that failed. The F zones are really cheap as well. But you know, if you when you go cheap, you are taking a risk. So just keep that in mind. But like the one CO2 art is like $150. The co-op regulator is very much similar to the CO2 art for like 120. The difference in the co-op one is that you can add manifolds to it, but the 150 CO2 art is not expandable. So just keep that one in mind. And then you can go the SR Aquaristics, also expandable. That one's 200. That one's my favorite that I have in the house between the F zone, the CO2 art, and the co-op one and the SR Aquaristics. So I like that one. And it's easy to the needle valve is really nice, and like the pressure valve, everything works as intended. Like that's been my favorite regulator so far. Hassle free. And CO2 art the same, except with the SR Aquaristics you can expand it, and I've got 2 of them on there. Let's see. Greg says use 3 F zones for years. You like it better than the co-op. They look the same. Oh, the F zone expandable and the co-op, they look the same to me. I mean, a regulator, there's not a whole lot you can really do in the design of a regulator. I'm sure those parts are sourced from the same factories. Usually it just kind of depends on the customer service, the quality control, like going out of the factory. I don't know exactly what the differences are. I can just say, knock on wood, that I haven't had a regulator fail on me. That wasn't my fault. Like I bumped the needle valve on the CO2 art, but that one's still going strong too. Let's see. Beck says CO2 art is my go-to, not the super expensive. Like, yeah, there is a pro one or whatever it's called that does have the expandability. But otherwise, that one is solid. Don't let Kelly hear you say F zone. Mini F zone is heavier than the co-op. But does weight matter in a regulator? What would make it heavier? I wonder about that. That reminds me of the Beats by Dre, those headphones, where someone took them apart and saw that they had just put weights inside of them just to make them feel like a premium product, but like everything else was maybe $20 worth of components. I thought that was funny. Just because when things are heftier, like they have some weight in your hand, they just feel like they have more value. No issue with the UNS one for 3 years. Yep. and Bex had to return hers because it was doing all kinds of crazy shit with the pressure. I think it's just a matter of you get a good one, then you're set. If you get a bad one, then you kind of get sour on that brand, because like, why did I spend $150 on a product and then to get a shitty one that I got to return?
Yeah. So I don't need to tell you this, June. You are a fine aquarist.
Mm-hmm.
You're very experienced. You know that there are some things in life you can cheap out on in your hobby, and there's some things you can't. Well, in planted tanks, you can cheap out on lights.
Yeah.
Because you can get higher lights. They get the job done. You can cheap out on ferts because you can use dry ferts. You can cheap out on, you can get a hang on the back filter, but you can't cheap out on canister filters or regulators.
Yeah.
Because cheap regulators, they are risky. And if you have fish you care about, you are putting them at risk. And just like a bad canister filter, if you value your floor, So,
Yep.
but you could cheap
Myrtle
out
put
on
it Myrtle put it well with like how some people have tried different regulators that are supposed to be premium, but then they end up sucking because everyone, like, somebody's gonna have, like, no product is perfect. Somebody's gonna have to get a defective one.
Yeah.
Just like I got a defective co-op regulator. It just it looks like the same, like the F zone and the co-op regulator look like they're the same. They're just way different in price. But like Myrtle said, like, they mostly come from the same source, all the same stuff. It's just about the quality
Right.
control, because that has a cost associated with it.
Yeah. I mean, in the pharma business that I'm in, we would call that a mitigated risk.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's the side effect there, but you've taken measures to make it as low as reasonably possible. So
Marine
yeah.
land canister for the win. I just put them in a Rubbermaid tub. If you have to put your
Yeah,
canister in a sump, then it's
I mean, and the thing is, like, if you're, if you have the space for that, I mean, whatever, it's fine if, is like, because it's more likely to fail. But don't, like, as Jake would say, don't go raw dogging your canister filter. Like, you need to have protection for it if it's a cheap one. Jake loves the term raw dogging. He uses it for everything.
I mean, it's, if you have a Sun canister and you don't have it in a Tupperware, that's the very definition of raw dogging.
So cheap.
That's raw dogging on the first date, like you don't even know.
It really is. So you gotta wrap that shit up. So yeah, but you don't want that right on your floor because it can fail. But there is no way to wrap up a cheap, well, there is a way to wrap up a cheap regulator, and it's to never put fish in there or fish that you care about.
You saw the video of Bentley reviewing the Sun. And he's like, look, here's the drain spout. And he just like gently tugged on it and it came out.
Yeah. And
really.
I echo that because I actually got a Sun a few years back because I'm like, well, everybody says they're fine. And I don't know. And I went to like open the stopcock and it just sheared right off. It just sheared right off on the day one. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what did Myrtle call it? Risk tolerance, or what was that? I like that. Does Jake know what raw dogging means? Jenna.
Yeah, I think he.
Have you met Jake?
No. She has.
You have met Jake twice. He's a fairly crude man. Error tolerance. I like that, Myrtle. I like that. Yeah.
And Corey has said publicly, like, if a defect rate goes above or at 5%, something around there, then that's too much.
Yeah. So, like, if you know what a DFMEA is, if you're an engineer, you would have like a matrix, a risk matrix, and so it'd be 95% risk tolerance with that. I don't know if we have any engineers in chat, but
We might.
yeah, DFMEAs. I don't remember what that's. It's like design something engineering evaluation. I don't know. I have to read them, but I don't know. I don't know what it stands for.
Google
But
says it's design failure mode and effect analysis.
thank you. Yes, DFMEA. So they're all engineers use those. Yeah. So Myrtle says we use that term in another class I took. I'm not surprised. Myrtle knows things. He knows things.
Cool.
He does. So Tommy says, I wonder if I can get my machine shop buddy to make me a regulator. He makes some crazy field and military equipment. I scrolled on me. Dude got his own lab in Houston. I'm going to hit him up. Which regular design GLA? So you can make a regulator. People used to do it more often, but it seems like the parts have gone up in price. Now, home-built regulators are actually really great quality. You have to use a very good needle valve.
Did Mike post a link to someone who was auctioning theirs off?
Is it Alan Lee or something? But yes, the plans are out there for how to do it. I haven't researched this very much because I don't DIY anything. I just don't enjoy it. It's not a thing I do. I don't have the skills. However, those regulators are great. There was a guy years ago named Rex Grigg.
Yeah. I made his reactor.
He is kind of an asshole, but his website that is still up has a lot of good information on it. So I would look that up. Rex Grigg, Grigg, probably has plans on there for how to build a regulator. I'm not sure if the links to the parts are still, you might have to track them down some. And I know that like needle valves have gone up in price, but because a lot of those parts are used in beer brewing, use that regulator as your base, and then you need to buy a good needle valve.
Yeah, so you're not going to save money by building your own regulator. You're going to spend more for higher quality, right?
You used to, but I will say that like it's a much higher quality build because you can put a really, really good needle valve on it. And let me tell you this, I had Henrietta.
Henrietta said that.
Happy early birthday. I once had a very expensive needle valve. So when I was in grad school, in the basement of the biology building, there was just a ton of equipment, and I was talking to our engineer, and I said, yeah, I really want like a good needle valve for controlling CO2, but I can't afford it. And he's like, oh, how about this thing? And it was this big. The dial like had a huge handle for like dialing in the CO2, and it could like control things down to like picomolar levels. Oh my God, it was so easy to dial things in. It was just so precise and easy, and it was great. So, but that needle valve was probably, I don't know, 10 grand. I mean,
oh God.
Well, you get what you pay for, right? Well, I didn't pay anything, but somebody paid it. And yeah, so you can make your own. I don't know if it'll save money, but the quality is there. Quality is there. So CoreWorks says we use that in manufacturing too. Yeah, it's kind of anything. It's that engineers do. They also have PFMEAs, which are process failure mode. Engineering analysis? Yeah. So,
is this a real like I'm confused.
Can I use my hubby's regulator? He says I can. He has 2 gauges that are very expensive. So is it for beer? I'm assuming. I don't know what the needle valves are. You'd have to ask him about like how fine of control that other one has, and maybe you would have to look on a couple of sites. Because like I know a regular beer regulator is not fine enough control, but I don't know what his gauges are. So maybe, but I'm not really very good at DIY, June. Like I'm not a good person to ask about that. I'm trying to think who is a good person to ask. Like in our community. I don't know anyone who's built a regulator, but maybe Mike, all things.
He probably knows how to do it. Maybe
Or he knows people.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Alan Bauer, he doesn't post much in our Discord, but he seems
Yeah,
like
he
he
might
would know
know.
something too.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person to ask. I don't want to DIY anything ever. But yeah, I would try Mike.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, because it's possibly good. If not, it might be a good base to build something. But I'm not gonna build anything
Yeah.
ever.
So while they're talking about Keystone Clash, I think Scotty is having difficulty getting people to fill out this form that that tells you when, or tells them when you might be flying in.
All right.
So if you're flying into the class, a roundabout possibly, I don't even think you have to know. I think you just have to say that you're interested in doing some kind of ride share, like free
And
transportation
yeah,
or like
Scotty
cheap
wants to make
transportation.
your experience better and less money because Scotty is so good to us.
Right. Something cheaper than the $100 Uber, or renting a car for
A
three or
lot
four
of
hundred
money.
dollars, which we're not going to do
Yeah,
this time.
we're
We did
we're gonna
last year.
drive because you know my luck, and it's only 8.5 hours. So, well, I mean, the way Jake drives, it's way longer than 8.5 hours. It's probably 10.5 hours because that
Oh
man is not.
God.
He's not in a hurry. I mean,
Does he like just hug the right lane and go 60 on the interstate?
he drives this like super fast BMW, and he drives it not fast. Well, but also, like, have you ever driven anywhere where Google says it takes 8.5 hours and it takes you 8.5 hours? I mean, you have to stop to pee at some point. I mean, you probably have to stop to eat.
Yeah, but then when you stop to pee and you stop to eat, you go like 90 to make
No,
up for the potty breaks.
Jake never speeds ever. He's not in a hurry. He's just not in a hurry. I'm not really in a hurry either. So I don't know. There's no need. There's no need to drive fast.
Wait, could you use an oxygen grade, like a medical grade oxygen regulator as a base?
I don't know. I don't.
Huh.
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. I'm the worst person to ask this. It has to have such fine control though. It has to be a needle valve.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think who is a good person to ask.
Hmm.
And I'm not sure who that person is, but I think that I would start asking all things fish.
Yeah, I would start
Yeah,
there. He might
I
be
would
able to
ask
point you in the
Mike.
right direction.
I mean, if not, I think he could, yeah, he would get excited to figure it out for you because that's a Mike
Hmm.
type question. That's not a Kelly type question. That's so not a Kelly type question.
Hmm.
Hang on, I accidentally minimized you. You can hear me, but I cannot see you.
Yeah.
There we go. So I can just, if you can hear like a plate rattling around in there, I fed my dog and I always feed her on these like big platters. And she likes to like get her feet on the plate and like just full body get in there. So I hear this like plate banging around. She's very excited for food. It's exciting times. Just to get everything in there.
So Zinger said, Google says an oxygen regulator in particular should never be used for another type of gas. If it is, it should never be used with an oxygen tank again. So
Well,
maybe
and that's probably because the CO2
would degrade the
would
O-rings and
degrade.
stuff, or
Yeah. And like, I don't know, an oxygen tank is keeping you alive. So
Mhm.
eh, the IFU, the instructions for use, probably, I mean, with all medical devices are very strict about
Yeah.
what you can and cannot do with medical devices. I know this because I read these IFUs all day long. So yeah, they tell you can't do that. So yeah.
Hmm.
But thanks for that Google, Zenny. I appreciate it. You're doing our work. That's why you're a high quality mod.
Oh, so I just went to that link. One thing that might be an issue, some regulators have left-hand threads or reverse threads and are used for
Oh,
flammable gases, so they wouldn't fit
oh
properly on
boy.
traditional.
Yeah. And oxygen is
Huh.
flammable. Interesting. We're learning so much about regulators here. There
Yeah.
is no universe where I will ever build my own regulator. I will quit the hobby if it comes to that. I am just not, it's beyond my depth or desires. But if you want to
Hmm.
build a regulator, more power to you. And I would buy one from you potentially, but I'm not going to do it myself.
Don't steal Granny's oxygen to
That's right.
inject your plants with
Thank
CO2.
you. Thank you. The old woman needs to breathe. Yeah. I I don't recommend it. Yeah. But so Jenna says, why did UPS ring the doorbell to take a package?
I don't know. They didn't need anything. I left
Oh.
a Amazon return on the porch.
Oh. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
who is flying into the Clash? Like I'm not certain. Like I mean, so of course, like people are going a long distance, but
We'll
trying to
be
think,
there
like,
kind of.
are you guys flying?
Yeah, we are. We even have our
Pretty
flight
far from you
booked,
guys.
but Jenna will have to say when we're getting there. I know it's going to be at night. I just don't remember.
I'm sure Jenna has already filled out the form because Jenna probably made the form.
Yeah, she filled it out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
would be nice to not have to give to give Uber $100
That's
because
a lot of money.
we rented a car last year, but we used it to go to like 2 restaurants that were like 5
Oh,
minutes away.
yeah. Well, you guys can ride. You can ride with Jake and I. I mean, he'll drive slow, but he'll get there.
If he wants to pick us up from the Philly airport.
We're getting there way after you, so we're
Oh,
not good
that's
people
right.
for that. But like to go to restaurants, we'll give you a ride.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So
And Garden is riding a snail to the Clash, so she'll be there in 2073.
that's right. She does take some weird flights. And you should try to get a layover, or you should try to just you should try to fly to Fort Wayne and ride with us. You can road trip with Jake and I. It'd be pretty fun. So does the co-op sell backup solenoids for their regulator? I don't think they sell any parts other than manifolds. They do sell manifolds, but not
Let me
backup
see.
solenoids.
So solenoids all largely look very,
They
very
do,
similar
and
on
you can
other. I
get
wonder if they're
them from
universal.
GLA because I've seen parts on their website. So you can get one from them.
I wonder if you can get one from GLA and it would fit on any other regulator. I know you can get them on Amazon too.
They all seem to look alike. And I don't know,
Mm.
solenoids, I don't know anything about electrical stuff, okay? But I don't think it's a solenoid that's specifically for regulators. I think it's a solenoid that can control lots of different things.
Mhm.
Maybe if Jake were here, we would ask him. He would know more than me because Jake does know a lot about electrical stuff. And I don't know. I'm just a stupid geneticist. You know, I just don't know these things. But GLA does sell them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Shrimp and Steve, thank you. That would be great if you could
Oh,
pick us
that's
up too.
so nice. Someone will get you there. And then
Hopefully
we'll
the
get to go
transportation service will work out. If we can
outside.
we just need enough people to fill out the form with like just even indicating that they're interested in it, that they are
Right.
flying in and they would be interested in
Yeah. And we're
possibly.
not, yeah, and we're just not going very early because, well, I'm also taking off days in October to finally go to Wisconsin because I have been a very bad aunt. And, you know, these kids are picking out my nursing home some days. So I got to put in the time.
Yeah.
Put in the time. And we're going to see Foxanne. I hope, unless someone gets COVID again. So,
No.
no. We've been thwarted twice. Yeah. So Tommy says, so all welding regulators will be reverse thread, then oxygen and acetylene are what is used most commonly with a torch. So I guess you can't use those. I would look on that Rex Griggs site and I would see what
Mhm.
he recommends to use. And if he said that you could use it and he's did exhaustively look into this, I mean, this was back when I started. He was quite the authority in the field. I don't know what happened to him. He just sort of disappeared. I will say that he was kind of an asshole. He was banned from a lot of
What if he's
tournaments.
dead? Would you feel bad?
Not really. He was kind of an asshole. I mean, just he was. You know, he was the sort of person who, like beginners, he would tell them they sucked and didn't know anything. And I don't really like that because we're all here to learn.
Yeah.
Got to be nice to people who are just trying to learn things. But
Mhm.
he did have a lot of useful information on his site, including how to make CO2 diffusers, or not the reactors. That, and he used to build good regulators. So yeah. So so if you care about Eakins surviving the compaction, are we compacting Eakins? Like, oh, because you're gonna pack him in your luggage. I mean, that's an idea. You just stuff him in. He's not that big of a guy. I mean, maybe. You'd have to check a bag. He would have to pay the like $60 to check himself. Then you could check him.
Craig is prepared for 20 hours in a bag to see fish. Just got to have some oxygen in there. You'll be good.
And we've found out that you can use an oxygen regulator, but maybe don't use a CO2 regulator.
Mhm.
Foxanne says, you better show up this time. We still have Christmas presents for you, Kelly. I know.
Oh my God. It's been that long, huh?
Well, I mean, because I haven't been to Wisconsin since Christmas. I
Mhm.
was going to go in June, and that didn't happen because we had a death in the family. And yeah, so it just doesn't and then Roxanne and Brian had COVID in December. So
Well, if they would just not get COVID again.
you should not get COVID again.
Yeah,
That
don't do
that
that.
would be my recommendation to everyone, is to never get COVID. It sucks.
So how much to ship Craig overnight in a breather
Ooh,
bag?
boy, that would be a lot.
Yeah.
That's a long distance, and you are a normal sized human being. You are not you are not like a 1 kilogram human being.
Well, I
Yeah.
know the post here has a 70-pound limit.
Yeah, so you can ship things by freight when they get bigger than that. So you have to ship them
Yeah.
by UPS ground, which is slow. Very slow.
Oh, we would need a transshipper too, Myrtle says, because it's coming from overseas. We need someone to unbox Craig and rebag him and then ship him further on to his
I hope they
destination.
do an unboxing video for that. I mean, if you're gonna do any unboxing video, please do that one.
And then out pops a shirtless Craig,
Ah,
disoriented from lack of
grenade!
oxygen, and
Please feed him as soon as he gets out of the box. Give him, get him something to drink. Yeah, that's maybe next year, Craig. Maybe next year. I know that Mark Silver is coming next year. That's pretty exciting. Or
who
Mark
is?
Sturlson.
Mark.
Who is Mark
Okay.
Silver?
Yeah, I was like, who? I don't
Maybe a
know.
mysterious Mark Silver is coming next
It's like,
year.
is Mark Silver famous? Is it? Am I supposed
I
to be
don't
excited?
know. But Mark Sturlson is coming. So you also have the option of hiding in his carry-on. I mean, but I would think that he and his wife would want a lot of souvenirs to bring back. I don't know.
Hmm.
They're probably
Yeah.
planning quite the trip out of it, because coming to the US is that's a big trip.
Yeah.
So they're not just coming for like the 3 days of Keystone Clash and leaving.
I can't imagine just the jet lag alone. from the trip.
Yeah. Because Jake and I have talked about going to Australia or New Zealand. And like, I think we would want to take off like 3 weeks because it's so far. And like, I have a very good friend from India. She's like, oh, yeah, Kelly, please just come. You can come home with me and
Nice.
spend the month. So maybe I'll do that. It would be pretty fun.
I mean, India is only like 9 hours ahead of us. I don't know what the plane ride is, but
It's a long one. Because she said that like she's laid over in so many different airports, Dubai and Germany and so many different places.
yeah,
A
I
long,
would need to
long one.
be really rich before I could make that kind of trip because there's no way I'm squeezing into a general seating coach seat for
Yeah,
15 plus hours.
that's hard.
I would be in so much
I
pain and I would
know.
be so claustrophobic. I need like one of those cabins or like the bed, like I need to be.
Yeah. For us to go to Costa Rica it wasn't that far. Because we had to lay over. And then we flew from Chicago to Costa Rica, and I think it was only like 3 or 4 hours. But we slept because we're so tired. Because it started at like 3 a.m. or something
Yeah.
horrible like that. So we slept. But when Jake goes to Germany for work, they send him business class and he gets to sleep in a pod.
Yeah,
So
that's what I need.
he gets to lie down, and then like the food is pretty decent and it's pretty deluxe. But like
Mhm.
we've talked about me going with him, which if they ever just send him to Germany and it's not like February, I would go with him. But it's
Yeah.
another $7,000
That's crazy. That
because the
is,
tickets were like $1,000. Okay, it's still a lot of money.
yeah, that's for
And I looked
for
at
miserable seats.
right, but then I looked at business class and it was $8,000, and I'm like, ugh,
Yeah, I would have to
no.
so it would be we'd be saving up a lot of money just for the flight, just to so that I could go there because I don't think I could do it. I think it would just be I would be going crazy within like I don't know 5+ hours.
Myrtle says I need to shapeshift into Jake when I fly and forge his company card so I can fly fancily. Why don't you just work for Jake's company?
Hmm.
Because here's the thing. Like, Jake will recommend you for any job too. Because if they hire you, Jake gets a signing bonus. So that seems easier than shapeshifting.
Well,
I
how
don't
long would
know.
Myrtle have to be at that job for him to get the signing bonus?
Oh, not at all.
Really?
No, they would just pay him it, and it's decent.
So just go pretend to be an engineer, Myrtle.
Well, there's plenty of things. Roche has accountants and tax people, and it has marketing people and business strategy people, and
Ugh.
it's a company. It's a big company. They
Yeah.
have proposal managers and project managers. So what I'm saying, Myrtle, is there's room for you in the Roche family. So you should apply there. And then you can come work in Indianapolis and you can come live here. And, we can be aquarium buddies. And that would be great. And we'll give you cats, like as many cats as you want, except for Fat Kitty. But all the other cats, they're free for the taking. Jake is a
Hmm.
fictitious farmer.
Yeah. Well, he owns a farm. He just doesn't do any farming.
He did enough farming as a child.
Yeah,
Kelly,
his stories were so sad to me. Like he basically missed out on his childhood being a
Jake
farmer.
is the only person I know who had loving and non-abusive parents who had that miserable of a child.
Yeah.
Annette asks, Kelly, will you hire me as Fat Kitty's personal nutritionist? Yes. Yes, I would. I think you would just make him fatter, though.
Feed him plants.
Ah, no. Foxy says Canada tried to keep Kelly in a continuing layover.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Air Canada, man. That was tough times. That was tough times. Oinky says, speaking of traveling, is there any place you would have traveled to you would never want to visit again? That's an interesting question. What do you think, Stephen?
Well, want to or and actually won't, but because like Florida, it'd be nice to not have to go to Florida ever again. But there's lots of things to do in Florida. It's just I've
Yeah.
made that drive so many times. I am so tired of it.
Yeah. I have one. And I'm a person who really likes to travel. And I've been lucky to go to a lot of places in the United States too. And the shittiest place is Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So
Never
back
been there.
back when I was a young graduate student, we didn't have any money. We went to Wisconsin for vacation. And, this was a long time ago. There wasn't quite as much information on the internet about different parks. And Wisconsin is a very beautiful place. It has many, many beautiful state parks you could spend days camping in and have a great time. So I booked 3 days at Lime Kiln State Park in Oshkosh. What a shithole. Because Lake Winnebago is not that pretty. Oshkosh, not that great. And Lime Kiln State Park sucks. So there you
Hey,
go.
Kyle.
There is an air show that is very famous in
Mhm.
Oshkosh, but we weren't there for the air show. We were there to camp at Lime Kiln State Park, which is super lame. And Kyle, you're a person who likes the great outdoors. I have to think you would agree that it sucks. I mean, if you're to go there when that air show is not on, Oshkosh doesn't really have anything going for it. It's not great. But going to Wisconsin is great. There are many beautiful things, including Foxan, the most beautiful thing of all. So
Egan said, I swear if Stefan says Portland, I wouldn't blame him. I didn't spend enough time in Portland as like a city. I just spent time with a bunch of fish nerds. So
you had a pretty good time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas I didn't have a great time in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So yeah.
Bex makes a fair point too. The shittiest place is Mobile, Alabama. Sorry to anyone living there from there / likes it.
I haven't been there, but I'll take it off my list.
I haven't been there.
Yeah. Boy, Kyle is still feeling threatened, but like he hasn't been to Oshkosh. I know he wants to go to this air show, but like, okay, that's only one like few days of the year. Okay. The other 360 days of the year, I challenge him to find something likable about Oshkosh. It ain't there.
We ought to make a trip up to Sheridan, Wyoming when they have the rodeo again, because that apparently was really a big deal. It was all the hotels were booked when we got to our hotel. It was also no vacancy after the first night because this rodeo is just like really important.
Who knew? Who knew? Barbara Jackson says a place called Lime Kiln State Park doesn't sound picturesque to me. It's not. And Wisconsin is a beautiful state. I mean, Brian agrees. Why would you vacation in Oshkosh?
All the hotels, i.e. 2 hotels.
All I can say is we
Yep.
were grindingly poor. We had
Mhm.
no money to go anywhere else. And we had already like bought the like nights to camp there. And like we didn't have any money to camp anywhere else. We'd already bought food. So like, well, we're just here. We just sat and played cards for like 19 hours straight because there was no like phones or anything. Like
Mhm.
we could read a book or something, but I think I was out of books to read. So yeah, we played cards for like 19 hours straight.
God.
Best vacation ever. Because we hiked all of the trails in like one night. And then we're like, well, we're out of trails. That's it. It was not great. So I think that's what I'm going to. So Oinky asks, she says, Kelly, as a last wish, I would love to grab the hands of all my fish fam and go visit the Piggies Island, Exuma, the Bahamas. I would ask someone to take my picture with that infinite joy on my face. I have been there, Oinky, and those piggies are pretty great. This was, what, 2 years ago? Because I went to Costa Rica, and then the year before that I went there. And they do swim out to you, and you can feed them snacks. It is pretty cool. It wasn't the coolest thing about being there. I got to swim with a sea turtle. Like, that was really awesome. But yeah, that's a pretty good, like, you win the lottery, taking
Yeah.
all your fish fam friends to Great Exuma Island. I'm on board with that. I would totally go with you. That would be pretty fun. It's a beautiful place.
Do the pigs bite?
Yeah, you got to watch your fingers. They're
Yeah, I
hungry.
don't want to.
You got to feed them with
There
your
used to
whole
be.
hand
Yeah.
but you can pet them, pet their little pig butts. Yeah. So
Someone mentioned Scranton, Pennsylvania.
I've never heard anything good about Scranton, but
The
I've
Office was a
never
good show.
been there. It was a good show. I would agree with that. I think Pennsylvania is a really beautiful state, but it's a lot like Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a very beautiful state, but like there are parts of it that suck. As a whole, though, it's an awesome place. It's if you want to take a vacation, Wisconsin in the summer is not a bad place to go. Wisconsin in the fall is not a bad place to go, or the spring. I would totally live in Wisconsin again. It's great. I did live
Cool.
there for 4 years. But now I live in Indiana. That's that. So
Let's see. Oh, Scotty, you wanting to go early? Is that what he said? I'm ready whenever you guys are done.
all right. Well, I don't know. Are we done? We might be done.
We can be done. I'm hungry anyway.
Dog, she had one dinner, but she might want another dinner.
Fourth meal.
We're trying to put weight on her, and she loves this. This is very fun for her. She just likes to eat like 7 or 8 meals a day. She would like to eat more. Come here, dog.
Yeah, she's gotta have like breakfast, and then like second breakfast and 11sies and afternoon tea and lunch and supper and dinner.
She likes double breakfast and then double lunch. Oh, good job, dog. Say hi to the people.
Myrtle says 7 or 8 meals a day. I need to become dog.
That's what Jake and I always say. Like, we hope that when we're old and senile, somebody like really takes it upon themselves to fatten us up. Like, that's what we want.
Unlimited tapioca pudding in the nursing home.
I know, but they're like, here, time for another one. Yay! Because dog, she's a little dementia. She's got some doggy dementia, but
Yeah.
she does her best. She likes to eat, but she has put on a little weight. I think she's maybe gained another pound. So
Cool.
she got too skinny. She got down to like 16 pounds, and
Because of her teeth, right?
Yeah, and she was sick. She, was throwing up a lot, and she was too fat. She was 26 pounds. And then she got down to 16, and we want her to be 20. 20 is a good weight for her. So she's getting back there. She's doing the work. She's eating. So
Big Shrimpin says, is dog dementia a thing? It is very much a thing.
Yeah, it is. But she does her best, and she's very loving. But yeah, she poops her bed a lot, and she'll poop in the kitchen, and but she's a good girl. We love her. She's doing her best.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Yeah, she's her dog. So, but yes, it's a thing.
It's a thing. All right. Well, I guess we can send people over to Scotty. I guess he'll be starting as soon as we're done. So, yeah, thanks to our awesome mods and lurkers, chatters, and members and replay crew. And
All right. Yeah.
see y'all actually on Friday. We're doing the not so newlywed game. Friday at 8:30 Central.
Yeah.
So we'll have Kelly and Jake.
That's right. You'll get to see Jake.
Yep.
Exciting
Jess,
for everyone.
Aquatic Morning Show, Jess and her husband Joe, and
Mhm.
Brookley and her husband Joshua.
We are very excited. Jake is excited about it. He's like, "Do I need to prepare anything?" I'm like, "I don't think so."
Now, y'all just need a notebook and something to write with each to
Yeah.
write your answers down.
We can do that. But yeah, we're both pretty excited. Yeah, we thought that maybe like Jenna would send out questions ahead of time or something, but yes, that there would be opportunities to cheat. So
No.
can't have that.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Bye, everyone.